Okay, Mom, we're on.
Very good.
How are you this evening?
I'm fine.
Well, you wanted to be interviewed, so what do you want to be interviewed about?
Just whatever your heart decides, you ask and I'll answer.
Well, tell us about yourself.
There is not too much to tell about me. I am a very dull, uninteresting. I spend most of my life at Kmart.
Well, we'll spruce things up a bit here. Tell us about meeting Richard Carter.
Oh, Lord. You've never heard this, so it will really be a surprise to you. First time I ever saw him was in Licksville High School. And he had been going down the hall with his girlfriend, and he was kind of late for his class, and I was late for mine. And he bumped into me. I had an armful of books. He didn't even offer to pick them up. That's the first time I ever met him.
Auspicious beginning. Well, did things develop from there?
No, they didn't. I didn't see him again until Shirley dated him. And after she dated him, I saw him. And then things did develop from there.
I didn't know Shirley dated Richard before you did now.
She did.
Well, how was your early married life?
Well, that was kind of rough. People didn't have much money back then, or anything else really. Just had to live tough.
Was that when you had your one Christmas light?
Well, that was the better than the first. At first, we had no Christmas lights. Then you're talking about when we lived in Fairbluff. We had all those.
He is jumping on the bed. See, I'm
Where's
not.
that kid?
Eric's just a big liar.
Continue the interview, Nellie, while he takes care of. Remember now, you're on camera.
That's right. I'm on camera. And now I'm at a complete loss as to what to say. So Janet, you ask questions.
Well. What'd you get for Christmas this year?
Oh goodness, let me think. A lot of stuff. Let's see. Dad got me a watch. Dixie got me a sweater. Shirley got me a sweater. And you and Kenny got me a set of Corningware, Visions Corningware that you can see through when you cook. And Bill and Lena, they brought me a sweater and it was too small, so they carried it back and they're going to get me another sweater. And Lena went up to Zers and got me this little thing up here.
Where?
Up here. This little Donna. And she felt
That
real
glowing
bad.
one.
She felt real bad because the sweater didn't fit. She said she really felt terrible and she was embarrassed. I said, oh well. That just makes up for the fact that your pants didn't fit. But I had a good Christmas. And that's not all I've got. I've got a lot of other stuff. See, Debbie got me a beautiful, she'll kill me if I don't say this, a beautiful long satin gown. She asked me if I wore it Christmas night, and I told her no, and she said, why? I said, I'm saving it. And she said, saving it for what? I said, saving it for my trip. She said, oh, Lord. And let's see.
Where you going on your trip?
To Nashville. I love to get on that holiday tour bus. I've never been on it but once, but I tell you, it's fun.
Can you delve back into more earlier history of our family?
You want to go back to the time before you were born? I can do that.
Well, not too
in a
far
moment.
back.
Well, before you were born.
Okay.
Oh, let's see. When we were married, we went to Memphis, Tennessee. We lived there from like November to maybe March. That Christmas, I didn't get to come home at all. And when I came back, I was expecting you, Kenny. And I went to the doctor, and I remember that day when Mom came in from work, I had been to the doctor. And I said, Mama, I'm going to have a baby. She said, already? she couldn't accept, it took her a while. And I said, yeah. She said, Lord, I don't know about that. I said, well, I do.
Tell me about little Bill and I when we were just little fellows.
All right. Then you were born. And at that time, I'm going to talk some about you, Kenny, first. After you were born, your daddy was in service, and we were, he'd been in service from even before we were married, but at this time he was still in service. And we went to Norfolk to live. And I lived with you, and most of the time Dad would be gone, seemed like. And he'd be, you didn't have to stay overnight. And I just had one little boy.
Was that when the time that we had that house near that lake?
No, that was, you're talking about at Elon College, I'm talking about at Norfolk. And then we moved with you after he got out of service when we were in Norfolk. And then we moved to Elon and he started going to college there. That's when we lived down by the lake. And you were a little fella. See, Bill had never entered the picture then. And we moved up there in those apartments, those veterans apartments that they had. And that's when Bill was born.
Well, carry on.
Well, ask some more questions and I'll answer.
Rich, do you have any further questions?
I don't have a question and answer.
And we lived up there until Bill was like, 11 months old.
It's like a reminisce for some reason.
Kenny's a reminiscer.
I think so.
And after we moved from those apartments, we moved to Fairblue. That's when we lived in that big house, Grandma and them came and they couldn't, so they said, I know they don't live in that house. And Johnny recognized the little duck or something. He said, yes, they do too, because I remember that little duck that we gave him for Christmas last year. It was laying in the sand pile out front or something. In that big white house.
Big house.
And we lived there, 2 years? While Dad taught school. Kid, that's where you started school at.
Yep, I remember.
That's where you caught the bus that day and the first day of school and didn't come home on the bus. Went home with somebody else. And I called the school.
Don't sound
and
like
I
he's
said,
changed much to me. His sense of direction is about the same.
it's about his savings that day. He was over there in Kernersville and he called over there and he said, Mom, come up here and get me. And I said,
God.
where are you at? And he said, over at Bodenheimer's store.
Well, I heard this story about a million times.
That was fun.
How much time we stayed with Hun's daughter and Bill?
Oh goodness, yeah, Dad was coaching, and sometimes I'd go into the ball game and we'd ride the bus and go to those towns down there. And we'd get this cold woman to keep y'all. And Bill would see her coming across that big porch, and all he'd have to do, she'd say, "Hello, Bill," and he'd start screaming to the top of his voice. And you told me, you tell me stuff, that happened and I didn't particularly like. One night, Hun's daughter went to sleep in there on the bed, and we like to have to break his door down to get in. She was sound asleep. That's when your daddy had gone out of town or something. He went somewhere, and she was going to spend the night with us. Because I didn't want to stay there at that big house by myself. And, well, why was I going? I can't remember now why I wasn't there, but anyway, I just know.
You wanted to meet on a basketball game.
That's what it was. I mean, y'all know somebody.
I just know we had to almost break the door down to get her attention, to get her awake.
We
She'd laid
knocked on
down.
the window, woke up.
Did she?
I guess if you used to them trains.
That's the trouble with oral history. So much of it becomes legend.
Oh well, after life at Fairblue, we moved to Kernersville, and that's when we, y'all were growing up then. Bill was like 3 at the time. That's when we used to ride that little red fire engine out there to the edge of that road and back. Back and forth on that. It was a long driveway that came up to the house, and Bill would ride that fire engine there.
We spent a whole summer out there. It seemed like it was a long time.
I know it. It really did.
That's where Bud and Carolyn lived up there, remember that?
Mm-hmm. I remember that day you wanted me to come see your play up at Sedge Garden, and I had no idea you was going to sing. You had never told me you was going to sing a solo. And here comes Kenny's jumping out there, and he sung a solo. And I said, Lord have mercy, that can't be Kenny. And here he came out. He was a little new. You had a red sweater on. He told me that day he had to dress in
Little New
red.
Year.
She said he had to dress in red that day, and I said, okay. So I put him on a little red sweater. He just got it for Christmas, and he put it on. He said, now you got to come now, Mama. I said, I want you to be sure to be there, but he didn't tell me what he was going to do. And he'd come jumping out there singing. He was a little New Year.
Can you give us a rendition?
Well, I don't know. I can't remember the words too clearly after all this time, but it's something like, I am a little New Year. Ho, ho. Here we go, running through the snow. Or something.
Maybe I can use that one now. I'll use that one next week when we have a New Year's party.
It was real funny because, I mean, you know, I just wasn't expecting it. And then, Ken, I remember when you went to, when we moved to Greensboro and you was going up Calvin and Wiley and you played your first solo on the trombone. Do you remember that?
For PTA.
You're scared to death, afraid you was going to get mixed up. And what'd I tell you? I told you, if you got mixed up, don't stop, just keep going. And you said, well, you was going to do that. And he said, if you did, he wouldn't worry about it. And so when it was over, I asked him, I said, well, did you get mixed up? And he said, I might have missed a note or two. I said, I just kept going, Mama, like you said.
Eric had his first concert the other day, didn't he?
I know. Everybody was applauding there and telling me, he said, I feel sorry for all the people that are applauding.
Why did he feel sorry, Mama?
He didn't think there was anything to applaud. I thought it was pretty good for first concert.
I know.
Then I remember when Bill started school, when Bill was in the first grade, I took him down there and the first day, and he sat there a few minutes and he looked up and he said, I think I'll get up and go throw some rocks. She looked at him and she said, no, I think you better sit in your seat. And he looked at me right pitiful, like, you know, like, Mom, I want to go out. And I said, well, I think you better sit there. So he sat there. It's kind of ironic, though. Bill going to Smith, was it Smith he went to in the first grade? Or was it second grade? I can't remember. It's been so long.
They had to move here for some reason, I don't know.
Well, his school, you know, when we moved up in Southmont, everything was under construction. And the schools weren't built from one that Faust and that he was supposed to go to, so he kind of went to different schools there until he got situated. And then came Debbie.
Remember the first day you brought her home?
I do too. I remember Bill running out there pulling the blanket off of her, saying, I want to see that baby. And then
First time I saw Bill.
Then I remember when she had to go in the hospital because her legs were dislocated. And for some reason, they'd let you go in there, wouldn't they? Did you go in to see her?
I remember she was in training.
Well, you went in to see her, but I know Bill was little and they wouldn't let Bill go in to see her. And Bill was up, I got him as far as the upstairs lobby. And that's as far as I could get. Nurse said, he doesn't look sick to me. And she turned, let him go, and I let this big old tear roll down Bill's eye. Because he wanted to go in there so bad and see her.
That sounds like Ian. Who was in the hospital?
Eric?
Eric's in the hospital and I'm really in the room. Yeah, so they won't let me in because I'm stupid. Keep talking on.
Well, what else is there to say? You better ask me a question.
Let's get the date.
When we moved, then we lived in Southmont till Debbie was about 4. Southmont till Debbie was about 4. And then we built the house over there in the country. And by that time, Kenny, you were what, like in the 12th grade? And Bill was like in the 7th or 8th.
Oh, we're gonna get the wrong date on there for
Bill was
long.
in kindergarten.
We got the wrong date for you.
I'm doing crazy with my life.
1983. Just for the record, this is 1988.
I'm glad.
You want to take a break?
Yes.
We're shooting now. And we're just going to go around the house here a bit. There's pictures of Brad.
That's my archives.
2 boys.